Coming up next on the Wet Fly Swing podcast.
The Italian Scotsman, he'd be excellent to talk to. He's dedicated to salmon. He gives updates every day on his webpage about the river. He would be the guy to talk to, him and Paddy Poirier. Paddy's his guide for him. So if you're like trying to set up a do-it-yourself trip, like they would tell you, like, go to this spot, stay there, and if you're coming up or something, I don't mind popping down and come here, go there kind of thing neither, right?
That was Justin Lovell with a huge resource if you'd like to plan a DIY Atlantic salmon trip. Nova Scotia brook trout on the dry and a professional weightlifter today on the swing.
Welcome to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show, where you discover tips, tricks, and tools from the leading names in fly fishing today.
Hey, how you doing today? Thanks for stopping by the show. Quick follow on Instagram would help us a lot and will help you get a chance to ask a question for an upcoming guest at Wet Fly Swing. If you're on Instagram, check it out right now. Give us a follow, send a DM there, and we'll get your question answered on an upcoming episode. And stay tuned for that. Today's episode is sponsored by Mavrk Fly Fishing. They make the lightest Euro nymphing reel in the world, which makes your rod more sensitive, casting more accurate, and you can hold your dead drifts longer without shoulder burn. Check out Mavrk Fly Fishing Stinger and their other Euro nymph products and support this podcast by heading over to wetflyswing.com/Mavrk right now. That's Mavrk, Mavrk, wetflyswing.com/Mavrk. Check out the lightest and most unique Euro nymphing reel right now. Justin Lovell is here today to take us into Nova Scotia and Cape Breton. We find out how you can plan a trip here for brook trout and Atlantic salmon. And we find out how he got started with his fly fishing podcast. And we get some great resources and tips. If you haven't been to this neck of the woods, we've done some episodes and highlighted this area as one of those places that you can hit Atlantic salmon and doesn't cost you an arm and a leg like some of these places around the world. So we're going to dig into that today. Plus, we find out how his pro weightlifting dream ended and how this was actually a good thing. Here we go. Justin Lovell from cbflyfishing.ca. How you doing, Justin?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
Not too bad. We're just plugging along here. This summertime. I guess it's summertime now, but it's been going good. We've been doing some good stuff. I've got a couple of big trips coming up, and yeah, excited to dig into this today because you have. You're on the other end of the country, and you've got a couple of big species I want to dig into today, and you do some guiding. I think you're still doing that, so we're going to talk about all that. But before we jump into there, let's first check in on how you've been because I was on your podcast. When was that? How long ago was that?
I'm going to say that was back maybe February, maybe January, something like that. Could have been March as well.
And for people listening, you have a podcast, CB Fly Fishing. Where could somebody go just to check that out right now? Where do you send people? Do you have a Apple Podcast or what do you tell them?
I do, and I'm on Apple, Spotify, Amazon. I have a little bit up on YouTube, Podbean, and it's basically the CB Fly Fishing Podcast. I mean, I guess I could have come up with a better name, but I wanted to keep it all under one identity. You know what I mean? You type in CB Fly Fishing, then, I want to get to the podcast, and the podcast could be something else, right?
Yeah, CB Fly Fishing. So, and CB is Cape Breton, right?
Cape Breton, yeah.
Cape Breton, Nova Scotia.
You can probably tell by the accent, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you got the good accent. So let's start there just on where you're at. So for those listening that don't know, Cape Breton, Nova Scotia, where are you in relation to, say, in Canada?
Cape Breton, I'm 4 hours away from Halifax. I don't know if your listeners might be familiar with that. I'm maybe a 2-day drive from Quebec.
Yeah, from Quebec, right?
Yeah, and the island is 175 kilometers long by 135 kilometers at its widest. It's not a bad size, and there's a lot of unique things here. Like it's a lobster fishing community, and it was a coal mining community. That's basically the island. I mean, we have tons of I'm sure you heard of the Cabot Trail, right?
What is it?
The Cabot Trail?
No, I don't. Let's hear it.
So I think don't quote me on this for God's sake, but I think it's number 2 or 3 ranked for the most visit destination you have to.
Oh, okay. How do you spell that?
Cabot. Hang on here.
Cabot. Yeah, I'm trying to think. Cabot. That's an interesting
So
word.
it's CABOT
Oh yeah, OT. Yeah, Cabot Trail. Okay,
and then trail TRAIL.
gotcha. And this Cabot Trail was the trail. Now, how was this created? Why is this a special place?
It's definitely a tourist. It's a Highlands
Oh,
area.
okay. Is this in the because you have the Cape Breton Highlands National Park? Is it up in that area?
Yes, it runs through that as well. Yeah, it's definitely a spot if you're a photographer and just love the outdoors. Beautiful look-offs, right? Like it'd be nothing to see a moose walking next to your car down the road.
Right.
Yeah, as long as they're not in front of your car, you're good. But if some people try to get close to them and pet them and that, I don't recommend anyone doing that.
No, I'm just and when you look at I mean Nova Scotia just in relation to you're not that far really on the south end of Nova Scotia from Maine really. You're just kind of you're east out there, but you're way on the tip. Cape Breton is really on the eastern, so you're quite a ways.
I'm about an 8-hour ferry ride to Newfoundland, I think it is. So the ferry's just right up the road from where I live, basically.
Yeah. Okay. And what are the in your area species wise? Because I always think Atlantic salmon. And I'm sure you've got some kicking around. And we did an Atlantic salmon episode recently with Topher Brown. He talked about some of the good places. Did that? I think he talked about your area, didn't he? Or
he did. He talked about the Margaree, and he was pretty bang on with everything.
Yeah. So Margaree. So that's the river. Is that the big river that runs near you?
I'm about I'll say 40-minute drive from it.
Oh wow. Yeah, you're right there. I think he said what he said was I was trying to get him, talk about places that people can actually go to that didn't cost you. $20,000, and I think you're in one of those places, right, where you could actually get a chance at Atlantic salmon. Is there a doable chance if you set a trip up there to go to your area to get one?
Oh God, yes. And here's the thing: you don't have to spend a fortune on lodges or anything. Like there's a bunch of places. I believe there's a guy down there, and you leave a donation, you can pitch a tent even on his campsite for a donation. Yeah, so and I get it. Like trips are expensive. I try to keep my costs down for guiding for a day, just to get people here and get them out to experience it. So, even if I had to pick you up, say at the Sydney airport, because I'm only a 15-minute drive away from that, I'll pick you up and drive you down to Margaree to the place you want to stay at, right? And that's no extra cost for me to do that. It's just a thank you for booking me, basically.
Exactly. Are there lodges in that area that people can go to as well?
Oh God, yes. There's the normal way in, Life in Tents. They have like glamping, I believe it is. It's a pretty cool spot. They'll take you tubing around the Margaree as well, right? And then there's the Big Interval Lodge, I think it's called. And then there's Brown's cabins, there's Ross's cabins. There's quite a bit you can stay at down there.
Yeah, there's a lot. Okay. And what's the closest town? Where do you live?
I'm in Sydney Mines, so like I said, I'm about a 40-minute maybe drive away.
And then most of your time, most of your guiding, it sounds like maybe you're like Brook Trout. Is that your focus?
Well, and that's the thing. Everyone thinks I'm a big salmon guy, and I'm not. Like I will fish for them, but if I'm going fishing, I'm going fishing for brook trout. Like, and everyone laughs at me because I'm a huge dry fly fisherman, right? So they'll laugh at me, torment me because my friends now are like into the streamers, but I'd sooner catch 50 small trout than one big brook trout on a streamer pattern. It's not that I have anything against streamers. It's just I love dry fly fishing.
Yeah, that's it. And that's what you do for mostly if somebody's coming in for a guide trip. Is that kind of what your focus is?
No, I'll like for fishing, if they want to streamer fish, I do streamer fishing. But if I had to pick, like I said, it'd be dry fly fishing. So if you say, "Hey, Justin, I want to go and fish for some brook trout," depending on the time of the year, well, there's no point in throwing streamers because the hatches are just like crazy all the time down here, right? So we're gonna throw hoppers, stimulators, and springtime, fall time. It's when I usually put the streamers, sink tips on, and yeah.
Yeah,
and
gotcha.
Just hold on kind of thing, right?
So right now, as we're kind of in that, it's going to be July, August, September, middle of summer. Are you? I guess you're getting some heat, but how does that look for fishing that time of year?
So right now we're still probably, I'm going to say 2-3 weeks behind the weather. So I'm still actually. It's funny because the guy when we were doing the show the other day, he said, it was this time last year we were dry fly fishing. We're still throwing streamers because they're not coming to the top for anything yet. And So we're about 2-3 weeks behind, but usually right now we're chucking dry flies at them.
Really? Okay.
Yep.
These are areas, kind of really small streams up in the kind of the mountain sort of thing.
Well, no, not really. They're actually fairly wide, these rivers. Like, I forget exactly. I think the Margaree is, what's the Margaree here? I think it's 120 kilometers in length. So it's a fair bit, right? You can also catch trout in the Margaree too. Some people think it's just salmon, but no, you can catch trout, and they have a problem there with stripers moving in there, striped bass. So I don't know what's their game plan to what they're gonna do there, but yeah, they're moving in, and them guys, like, they get massive.
Right. That's interesting. Wow. Yeah. Stripers too in there.
Well, like even our Bedore lakes. So in this one lake, Dave, we have striped bass, we have brown trout, we have rainbow trout, which I told you earlier. They are farmed fish that they sell to a grocery store, but they get out. Then we have brook trout, we have perch, we have flatfish, mackerel. This is all in one lake.
Wow.
Yeah. So the fishing opportunity is definitely unique here for somebody.
Nice. And are there other guides that are focusing on like salmon only out there?
Oh God, yes. Like, there's like some people will message me looking for a salmon guide, and if I'm busy or something, I'll send them to other guides. I don't mind. We're all in this together kind of thing, right? There's quite a few guides around here, man.
Yeah, perfect. Well, before we dig into some on the tips and tricks, let's take it back to kind of fishing. I always like to start to hear your story of how you first got into it. So what was your first memory of fly fishing?
My first memory of fly fishing. Well, everyone's got to keep in mind, for those that don't know me, I was a competitive weightlifter. So I never had any outdoor experience at all. And I was like 27 at this point. I fell getting ready to squat a large amount of weight, and I kind of crushed my lower back. But what are you going to do with your time? Because I started that when I was 15, and I never stopped until I got hurt, like at 27, right? So that's a lot of years. How do you walk away from something that you're still young and good at, right? So I was sitting at home. I said, you know what? I'm going to try fly. I started with fly tying, so everyone kind of laughed at me because I still had some size to me, right? So I got this little cheap kit, and I must have broke about 1,000 threads off the hook, just too much pressure, right?
Right.
But anyway, I get in. So the time came for me to buy a fly rod and get out fishing. Never had a clue, right? I get out fishing on this windy day. Ended up in a merge with the hook stuck in the back of my ear. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep. That done it. So anyone new, definitely don't go out in the wind when you're new. Just take some time to learn this.
Right. So you taught yourself fly fishing.
Basically, yes. Like, I'd go with some older guys, and try to learn from them. Some of the information they give you was right, and some of it was wrong. I didn't know. Like, that's just what I was taught too, right? But as I progress, I'm learning, like listening to your podcast, for example, and other podcasts as well. Like, okay, maybe that's what I was doing wrong as well. Maybe I'll try that, the tips and tricks kind of thing, right?
Right. That's it. That's cool. Yeah. So we're all learning, right? That's the cool thing about all the information. It's all out there online. You have some of your own information, right? Are you doing some like YouTube and courses and stuff like that?
I do, like, so if someone's new in the fly fishing, I won't take them guiding at first. I'll take them out depending on where they're coming from. Like, let's just learn a day of how to cast. And I mean, I don't care if you want to go out and learn to fish. I'll try to climb a tree 30 times to get your hook out of it. It doesn't matter. At least you're out, trying to learn. But it gets frustrating for the person because they see a fish there, but they can't cast to it, right? So I'll take it out, and I'll break everything down for them. Like, I'll show them, like, here's how the ferrules go together. Here's how you tie fly line on. This is your backing. Here's the knot you're going to need to tie a leader on or connect the leader together, and just things like that, right?
Yeah. How did you get into the guiding? I mean, you jumped into fly fishing, and then when did the guiding come in?
The guiding came in, I'm going to say, about maybe 3 years after I get into it. I was still a little, I don't even think I charged anything at the time because I was still trying to learn it myself. But, I just always felt the need that, if you want to learn something, there should be an opportunity there. So, like I said, I don't know everything, and I don't pretend that I know everything. I am who I am, and that's it, right? If I don't know, I'm gonna say, you know what, I don't know. Like, But, I get into it, and then it's like I started taking advanced people that probably knew more about it than me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I learned some off of my clients too, and we became really good friends. But as time went on, I'm like, maybe I should start teaching it as well now that, I got the knowledge down of the basic stuff, the introduction, different things and what to do, how to carry your fly rod properly without breaking the tip off and stuff like that, right?
Yeah. Right. And this was all with the focus on, were you mostly Brook Trout? It sounds like is where you started, and it's
Yep.
just you're probably not far enough along in the time to kind of have salmon as a big thing. Do you think at some point you're going to transfer into more of a salmon person, or do you think that the salmon are going to be disappearing, sort of thing, longer term?
You know what? It's hard to say. I'm not a scientist or anything like that. I don't want to say because I'm only one person, right? My opinion means nothing to hundreds of thousands of people that got their opinion on it. So I have my theory on it.
Do you see some? I mean, I know you could look at the history of salmon and now steelhead, right? But especially salmon that, right? They've been disappearing. I think Topher mentioned that, right? He said we were asking where you could go. And we had that question actually I threw out there. I asked our listeners, would you rather catch a steelhead right now or Atlantic salmon? And it was a good split.
Really?
Because it was a good split because some people like me, I've caught tons of steelhead, never caught an Atlantic salmon.
Okay.
And there's the opposite. And so but it was really cool because everybody reply and we're like, oh yeah, Atlantic salmon, whatever. But it's not easy in the U.S., right? I mean, there's not a lot of places in the U.S., and I'm assuming you're in one of those places that has a decent run. But
it's not
that's
the Margaree either, Dave. We have the North River, we have Dette River that holds salmon as well, right? Even I'm sorry, I should have mentioned our Bedora Lake sometimes get a run of salmon in it as well.
Yeah, Bedora. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, and where is Bedora from? Say, what about you got Lake Ainslisle?
Lake Ainsley, yeah. So you're
Ainsley.
about, I don't know, say from there, we'll just say 15, 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Right there.
Oh,
yeah,
this lake is massive. Like it's big. And then we have the Bedeck that runs into it. We have Middle River. We have a bunch of rivers that run into this saltwater lake, and this feeds out into the ocean, right?
That's cool. So you have this is a giant inland lake, and it's massive, taking up literally that's like almost as much of the land mass of your country.
It's a big estuary, so it's good for like natural bait and everything. And like I said, the fishing is crazy there.
There you go. Okay, now I see it now. This is, you got North Sydney up there.
And I'm about a 2-minute drive from North Sydney.
So have you, over the time, as you look out, you look at where you are, and then you spread out Prince Edward Island, New Brunswick, and then even up north. And then there's even the St. Pierre, right? You got another massive island.
Yeah.
Have you explored, is that on your goals to explore more of that part of Canada?
You know what the funny thing is? When I was a competitive powerlifter, I lifted New Brunswick and PEI and Ontario, Saskatchewan. I lifted, but I never, at the time, I was never into fishing. So like PEI is like not even a day drive for me, right? Just a couple of hours. And same with New Brunswick. It's about an 8-hour drive or something like that. But I never actually fished there. So is it on a bucket list? Absolutely. I think it's because it's so close that I know I can just jump in my car and go at any time, right?
Yeah, you can go.
But I mean, Cape Breton, like, it's just got so many spots that we still don't even know that there's massive fish there to fish. And it's why bother? Because even the Cabot Trail, that the national park down there, they have some massive brook trout in there. And, it's one of those things, though, if you're going there, you got to leave at like 2:30 in the morning just to get there for daybreak to make it worth your while. Because it's quite a hike, right?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. You're in Nova Scotia. I mean, you're in a place that is a destination. I mean, this is one of those places, that people are coming to. Who are your, clients, new clients, people that are coming in for a guide trip? Are these people that are mostly locally around there, or are they coming out from outside?
I get a lot from the U.S. I get some from other provinces in the country. But, the funny thing is, like, we were talking about salmon, like a lot of Americans want to come up for salmon. The past 2 years, I've been getting more calls from people from the States wanting to come up to fish for brook trout. I'm like, are you sure you don't want to go for salmon? Nope. Want to fish the rivers for trout.
Oh, cool.
Okay, cool. Yeah, that's what I said. Cool. and I get some people from the UK as well, and so it's it's a mixture of everybody, right?
Yeah, it's a mixture. Okay, so brook trout is, and let's talk about that. So if we were calling here and we were thinking, okay, let's head up and set up a trip. When would you be guiding us? When would you tell if we're looking in the next year? When would we come up there to get some nice brook trout?
I would say come up early May to or late May rather to early June. That would be your prime time. If you want like big monsters, that would be your prime time. But from July on, it depends on the weather. It gets a little wonky up here with the heat, right?
Yeah.
But from July, say till September, it's all dry fly.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
So, and what are the dry flies? So when you say dry flies, is this like you're matching hatches that are coming off, or what does that look like?
So I can fish the middle river, and people laugh at me. I'll put that one stimulator on and leave it on for the day, and I'm catching everything on it, right? But you can use emergers, you can use bombers if you want, or buck bugs if you'd like. The deer hair with the hackle through them. You can use that, fish them dry. Adams, your Adams flies. It's just your basic flies like your stimulators, Adams, your wolves, your grasshoppers, your ants. Chubby Chernobyls, just things like that, right? It doesn't have to be too complicated, but if you want it to be, you can, right?
Yeah. So you're not necessarily having, big caddis hatches or whatever brown drakes or anything, any of that stuff.
Nothing major. Right? But like, oh my god, I got to get them tied up and get out there. Nothing huge like that.
Yep. So it's more a tractors and kind of stuff like that. Do you have any stonefly? I mean, do you have any bugs that you see out there?
We have stoneflies. It was funny because back to the TV show, like I said, I was a dry fly fisherman, but this year I nymph fish, and we had this black stonefly with a bead head on it. And oh my god, like the whole show was just this one fly. That's it. We never changed it. Like 30 minutes. It was just, we never changed it. We just left it. It's just bang, 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 right?
Right.
Yeah.
Is this Euro nymphing? What type of nymphing is this?
Just your regular, throw a nymph on, let it sink down to the bottom kind of thing. I just started getting into Euro nymphing then. Oh boy, let me tell you.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Don't ask me to take you out because I don't know anything about it. I'm still learning it. So
I had somebody reach out to me, and I haven't heard much of this, and I think I'm gonna do a podcast on it. But he was talking about Euro, like not calling it Euro nymphing, right? Like that's maybe not the best word because there's confusion. It's maybe not giving respect to the European. There's some just stuff going there. So I think I'm gonna dig in a little bit, maybe on a podcast with him.
Oh really? I never heard it.
I know I hadn't heard about that either. Yeah. I think competition fishing just maybe in the past has gotten some challenging. I know we've had people on the podcast that have challenged it, being like, hey, why are you competition fishing? Doesn't sound like that's a good thing. But I mean, it's amazing, regardless of how you feel or the history. I mean, it works. I was just out this week, and I mean, it's deadly because it's so you can get down to the fish and feel every little touch.
Oh God, right? Yeah. Like make sure you bring, especially certain parts of the river that I feel, make sure you bring a ton of flies with you. Because like, you're probably 9 times out of 10, if you're new, you're probably going to snag something. Like last time I was out trying it, I thought I had a monster on, right?
Yeah.
Get the net for a bit. Well, I set the hook on a rock, so we'll leave that one go, right?
Established in 1928, Dette Flies is the oldest family-run fly shop in the world, now in their 94th year. Dette's mission has always been to supply the fly fishing community with the finest products and services. Every fly they sell is either tied in-house or by a handful of select domestic tiers. Please head over to wetflyswing.com/Dette to grab your in-house flies today. That's wetflyswing.com/Dette, Dette, to support this podcast and the oldest fly shop in the world. Well, so brook trout, yeah, I mean, I think brook trout are a killer species. That it's another one of those species, though, you hear about through, especially in the U.S. We've done some episodes where people are talking about how, yeah, I mean, they're not doing well everywhere, right? And so, get ready for some of the other species, smallmouth bass, stuff like that.
Well, Dave, that's why I kind of drifted away from salmon fishing. Like, last year, I don't know, I can't remember, but I don't even think I guided much for them last year. I'm not guiding for them at all this year, I don't think, because it's just, in the same breath, this is the most fish being caught so far in the last 4 years this early. Like, it's crazy. Like, guys are catching 4 a day, where most people come here and only get 1, or none,
Oh, wow. So people are getting into fish now.
Oh, God, yes. It's like, wow, you caught 4 salmon, but the temperature, like I said earlier, it's like 38 degrees here now, so I don't know how much longer that's going to go on for, right?
38 degrees, which is hot, right? That's hot.
Yeah, I'm not sure what that is, and
I think it's times the rough calculations that this isn't exact, but it's times 2 plus 32. So that'd be roughly 80. Yeah, that's not quite right. But you're like close to 100 degrees, I think.
I don't know, but all I can tell you is it's hot, man.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hot.
Yeah, I got to do this just so I know. Yeah, it's 100. It's 100.4. Wow, it's 100 degrees where you're at. That's scorching.
Yeah, and like I'm not like we get temperatures like this. We'll go through a spell, like especially the first week in August. It's like this every day. Like, and it's just I can't handle it, right? I don't like the cold neither, but this is too hot.
Right. No, that's it. That's cool. Well, I mean, it's not cool. I mean, I know that the temperatures.
No, I know what you're saying though. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I don't mind. I mean, obviously, climate change is not a good thing and stuff that's going on. But I mean, I like the
Let's
heat.
tell everybody, global warming's a real thing. Nah, go away. That don't have nothing to do with the fishing and everything. Yes, it does. You'll see. Like you'll see.
I think it was 4th of July down here. We had 4th of July, and
Yep.
I think it was the hottest day in the history of the planet. Right, all together. Right, it was the warmest day.
Oh wow.
You know what I mean? Like in one day around the world. So yeah, we got some work to do, obviously, and we're going to keep doing that. We've got, we're going to do our best. We've got our conservation partners, and I think that's, you do what you can do, right? You do your best to, support some of that stuff.
Oh, listen, it's even like what the fish handling. Of course, you're going to do your best to handle that fish with the best care you possibly can, but depending on where you're fishing from, sometimes you can't, right? Sometimes you have to get it up on the bank to,
Yeah, you do. Well, let's talk just for a sec. We'll take it back to fishing, but I always love a fellow podcaster, and we have an interesting, kind of thing here because early on when you were getting started, I was kind of, trying to help you along a little bit, get started.
Absolutely.
And it was cool. So I want to hear where you're at now because, you've had some big guests on. I think you had April Vokey on, and all that stuff. So how's that going for you with the podcasting? Do you find, like talking about, how you get guests, how you choose your questions, how you feel? Yeah. How's all that look?
Yeah. So here's the thing with me. I used to have a list of questions wrote down. Now I don't even do it anymore. Like I'm walking into it blindfolded, basically. I want to get to know the person, the style of fishing they do, and it's like, wow, I just picked something. You know what I mean? Instead of staying around a few questions, and it's like, wow, I never knew that. Like, I had Kelly Gallup on the show back in January. Yeah. And, a lot of people didn't know he was a bodybuilder.
Oh, right. That's right.
Yeah. I didn't know that, right?
Yeah, you guys have something in common.
Right, yeah. But it just it's just I walked in, I knew who he was, and I knew the flies he tied, but I didn't really know him as a person, right? So, and, my plan is just to kind of, for people new getting into it, like these big names in the industry, they're nice people. Like you can reach out to them and, talk to them and ask them questions if you have questions. But, right now, I'm still going to do my uploads to Spot, like, the audio recording. But right now I find video podcasting is becoming really popular now. So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon with that now too.
That's good. No, I think the video is good. I think that we do audio. I've always been old school, so I love just the audio podcasting. And obviously, people being able to download the audio and listen to it wherever. Video isn't as easy. But yeah, I agree. I think that people are liking the video.
Well, I mean, like I said, your podcast sounds amazing. Like there's no, like I don't even know how you do it, but like there's no breakups or static or anything, right? So, like I was telling you earlier, I'm trying to follow in your footsteps with everything.
Right. Well, there's, that's one of the things about it with us, I mean, if you look at the early episodes, it's always a work in progress.
Like I said to you, you're one of the top dogs and there's a reason for that, right? So I'll follow in your footsteps a little bit, right?
Yeah, I appreciate that. No, I think that, I think that's what's cool is like, you look at your mentors and, I've had plenty in the podcasting space, that are still out there, some that aren't, you know what I mean? Like I've had people like, I've talked a lot about Pat Flynn, but he was a podcaster. He's one of my first podcasting mentors.
Okay.
And so I always kind of compare, a little bit of what we do. It's different. He's in business, but so yeah, there's a lot of people out there. And I think that, as long as you're having fun, I mean, people aren't going to expect you to be perfect.
Yeah, but you know what? You're even changing a little bit too now. Like you have Phil Rowley coming on and doing his thing, and that's pretty cool and unique as well, right?
Right. Well, that's the one thing I think I always try to do is it's like with business, In fact, I heard one of my other mentors on a podcast that he was saying that, yeah, I mean, you got to nothing is stagnant. I mean, just because you're growing right here and you're doing well this time doesn't mean it's guaranteed. The podcast can change, right?
Yep, absolutely. It's like fishing. Nothing's ever guaranteed, right?
So that's what we do. I mean, we basically, the Phil thing came in because we have a travel program that we've built now. And I just was thinking, like, how do we amp this up a little bit, right, and make this even better? And I figured, hey, why not have Phil Roy on as our Stillwater guy and just host his own show on our network? Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a cool thing, right? And it's still a test. I don't know exactly, but, it seems to be working pretty well. I'm getting feedback. And then we've got Jeff Liskay for our Steelhead, podcast, the Great Lakes. So he's focusing. It's not even Steelhead. It's all Great Lakes, right? So.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I'm going to keep doing that as much as I can because I think I love it. And obviously the podcasting as a host, but I can't do it all. That's the challenge, right?
No, absolutely. And, and here's the thing now, the more I get into it, it's like, wow, like I have to do this. And I'm not complaining by any means, right? Like finally it's starting to pay off a little bit. But it's like, okay, I got to start balancing things. Like I got to start setting my podcast up so I don't have to actually go in and upload it that day with everything. Just have a date set where it can upload automatically, right? And
schedule it all.
That saves time, right? Like, and I just launched a television show last year. It's through Seaside Communications, which is powered by Rogers Communications.
Now, what is this? Now, talk about this TV show. This is a fly fishing show?
Yep. So I was sitting around the last 2 years. I'm like, I'd love to have something local here because, like I said, we have a unique spot here, and we do travel a bit. But I mean, I was just in the right place at the right time, hooked a deal, and here we are, season 2, right?
And how would we find that? How do we track that down?
So you can either go through Seaside Communications on YouTube, or you can just type in CB Fly Fishing, and you click on my picture, and it'll bring it up, and the playlist should be there, like Cape Breton Fly Fishing Television Show.
Oh, okay. Is that what it's called? It's called Cape Breton Fly Fishing Television Show.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, I try to keep it all under one identity, right?
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so this is a video, and what do you do? What would you expect to see in these?
So last year, how it started, it was really hot. It was like this temperature today every day last year. So leave it up to Justin to start a TV show, the hottest summer of the year, right?
Right.
Past couple of years rather, but this year has been really good. So, and it's a learning experience to me, and it's a learning experience to the guys that are filming because they never did a fly fishing show before, and I never had cameras in my face or drones flying over me, anything. So it was all new. But this year we're basically going all over the island, fishing, filming rivers and lakes. And so, we got some brook trout on there. I think we might do a salmon show in the fall. We're going after some stripers this year as well. We're going to maybe possibly chain pickerel because they were dumped in a local lake by me.
Oh, wow. So that's cool.
Yeah.
Wow. So so this opportunity, the Cape Brenton, the TV show just kind of fell into your lap.
It did. Yeah, it did. I was just in the right place at the right time and struck a deal, and here we go. It's not easy because now it's like, you trip over your words or something, you got to start over again because you can't really hide it in the audio or anything. So I'm really like, you'll probably, and there's a little bit of comedy in it too, right? Like I was fishing the other day. I sent you the link to it earlier today, called the Mole River. So I thought they were gone. So I said, I'm going to stay and fish a little bit more. Right. Okay. So anyway, you'll see it in the video. He left his mic in my backpack. So he was coming through the woods and he went, Justin, like he scared me. Right. Like that. So you'll see me jumping and screaming or, yeah, it's just add some humor into it too. Right.
That's cool. So you got a couple, you got the podcast you're doing. And you're doing that on a regular cadence. How often are you publishing new episodes?
So I have quite a bit of shows banked right now. So I try to get one up every Saturday or Sunday. as much as I can, right? Like I'm trying to stay consistent, like, you're staying consistent with yours, right? So like I said, I'm trying to follow your footsteps here, Dave.
That's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
consistency is
so
key.
yeah, so like I said, and watching you grow over the last couple of years, it's like, oh my God, like, like I remember your earlier episodes to now. It's like, oh wow, like it's amazing.
Yep.
So, I just like I said, I'm busy. So guiding, plus I work a job, a real like a not a real job, but I work in healthcare. So guiding, healthcare, the TV show, the podcast. I'm a single father, so
Oh, wow.
yeah, I'm trying to juggle everything, right?
Yeah, you got all sorts of
Yeah.
stuff going. Gotcha.
Yeah,
Okay.
but I'm not complaining by any means, and I'm very thankful for the opportunities that I got and the people, And like I said, I want to thank the camera crew that comes along and film me, that makes me look so much better than what I actually am, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. And so you're season 2. When did the season, when does it end? When does it start?
So we usually end it in the last week of fishing, depending on what we're fishing for, right? So we're usually done in October anyway, and then we usually start up in May. So we still got, we got a couple great shows. We just put out 2 so far. We got River Denny's, that's out now. We got the Mole River just come out today. We have one of the Middle River. We have one of Margaree coming out. So they're good. Like they're action packed, right?
They're good. What's the difference
Yeah.
between, having the TV show, having the podcast? And I know they're different numbers and viewers and stuff, but like as far as, the feedback you get from doing them, do you find one is more enjoyable than the other?
I enjoy doing both of them. I'm getting, great feedback from both. You do get I don't want to say negative. It's just people's opinion, what they think of it. And that's cool. And I respect that. I'm not going to get all like revved up to, why'd you say that? That's your opinion, your opinion of my show, your opinion of me. I respect it. You know, you said your piece, move on, So, but no, for the most part, it's been going great. I try to help people as much as I can. If someone wants to promote a fishing event or tie some flies, reach out to us and we'll be more than happy to get you on there, right?
That's right. So,
Yeah.
and the TV show, do you have like a set like contract number of seasons, or how's that look?
I have a number of seasons, so we're good for quite a while yet, unless something major happens, right? Yep, but we're good for a while.
Yeah, it seems like a good opportunity to, I always think about how do you grow the podcast, but it seems like that would be a chance to grow your audience. Are you finding that you're getting kind of shares through that over there, the group you're working with, or how does that look?
Like my YouTube channel went from a couple hundred, I'm up to over 1,000
Oh,
now
wow.
subscribers. Yeah, that was only a short period of time, right? Like
Right.
my download.
Because you're posting
Yeah,
on it. Yeah.
yeah, and then like I have an email list set up now. Again, that was one of your. I heard you say something about an email list one time, and it just always stuck with me. I just started this back in the winter, I believe. So I try to get one out a month, right? Whether it's something to do with the podcast or the guiding or flies that I caught fish on.
Perfect. Well, let's get back into the brook trout real quick here. So let's take it back. So you said kind of, May, June, but you can catch fish year round, or not year round maybe, but there's fishing. So what is that? So if we were coming in there and say May or June, let's just say early June, what should we be planning on? It sounds like the fly is just some general stuff, but
I supply everything, so the flies we won't. It depends on the year. Like we've had hot days in May where you could dry fly fish, right? But the past 2 years it's been colder, and so we're throwing a lot more streamers, right? So it's muddler minnows, your Mickey fins, what else? Your stoneflies, some nymphs, your queen of the water, some wet flies, just things like that, right?
right. And these are, and the size of river you're fishing it sounds like it's fairly large.
Oh yeah, it is. It is. It's quite the hike. So I'm actually picking up float tubes this year to start taking clients out so we can tube the river and fish it, right? So now you're going to cover a lot more water than just going in and wading and walking, right? Yeah.
And float tubes, not one man or two man boats or rafts, but float tubes.
Yeah, just like a fishing float tube where you would get in one and I would get in another one, and I would stay ahead of you as you're coming downstream, right?
Right. Do you have a float tube or one in mind, like a type or company?
I don't have any. I have. I bought one last year, but I don't really have a brand Pacific yet. I don't, because it's new to me too, right? So I'm just trying to figure out what's the better way to go for people, make them more comfortable. Because me, I'll use anything. I don't care, right?
Yeah.
But I mean, if you're coming from somewhere far away, you want it to be relaxable, and enjoyable. You don't want to be cramped up or sore or anything, right?
Right. Yeah. That's we did a recent episode with Chris Callahan from Outcast Boats, and he talked
Okay.
about their lineup that they have, which is they got like everything from the float tube all the way up, and yeah, it was pretty cool. They got some good, and you might even
Okay.
check into it because he talked about one of their boats. I can't remember the name of it, but it's a super ultralight 2-person raft, but it's super light, right? It even has a standing bar in the front that's made out of the rafting material. But yeah, so I think float tubes, I mean, that's the thing. I see the float tube. I'm not picturing, you're probably thinking something different than me, but I'm thinking like your feet are down in the water and kicking.
That's it. Like your feet are down the water with flippers
Oh,
on.
okay.
You have oars. Yeah, but I know the ones you're talking about with the seat and everything. Now I'll have to look into that now that you mentioned it.
Yeah, it might be worth just Outcast. They got a bunch of stuff. I mean, I'm sure there's lots of companies out there doing it, but so that's interesting. And the idea being that, yeah, you cover more water. Do you see people on the river with drift boats and rafts and stuff like that?
No, not at all. No,
And why is that?
no. I'm not. I don't know if it's because of the fishermen. I don't know. Right? It's just I never see it. Right?
What about rafts or float tubes?
No.
Oh, really? Oh,
No.
wow. So you're going to be the only one out there doing this.
Well, I wouldn't say. I wouldn't say. There's probably other guides that do it that just don't advertise it as much. But I will be advertising it. You know what I mean? Like I'm sure there's people out there that fish. Out of the 9 years that I've been fishing, I have never seen anyone around here fishing the rivers with them, right? And even the lake too. Like we'll go out in the lake and I'm fishing for the farmed rainbows. I know they're not good, but they're still fun to catch, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I tell people too when they see these pictures online of these big rainbows, like I tell them they are farmed fish, and they're cool with it. They don't care. They just want to get out and get that experience, right?
Yeah. So these are farm fish that are growing in like net pens sort of thing that escape?
Yeah. Yeah, they get out somehow, and then the lakes get polluted with them, and you can basically stop anywhere and fish for them. But if you're not from around here, I would say hire a guide so you can know the spots of where to go.
Yeah. And where would we, if we came in, we were saying we're coming in June, what would be the, where would we be coming into to meet, to go fishing?
So if you had rented your own car, I would set up a spot, say we'll meet at an Irving or Tim Hortons or something close by you guys, right? Or I would just sleep up there somewhere in the back of my Jeep and we can meet right at the spot, right? Or I can go meet you at your hotel or your lodge, wherever you're staying at.
Yeah. So if we were staying at, say, anywhere, I'm just trying to track down, but it'd be, what would be a spot we might be going to, like a town nearby on the Margaree?
On the Margaree, so you'd probably stay at, most people stay at the Normal Way Inn.
Oh yeah, I was looking Normal Way. Yeah, I was looking at that. So yeah, that's off of Egypt Road. So you're up there near,
Yep.
I guess that's kind of upper river sort of thing above Emerald.
Yeah.
Yeah, gotcha. Okay, so stay there. So we'd meet there, and then we would just head down to the river and find some good water and look for some brook trout.
Yeah, absolutely. Or salmon even. If you don't want to stay in Margaree, we could I could tell you stay in the town of Dette. There's the Invery Inn, that's another nice spot in Dette. That's a beautiful spot, yeah. And I could meet you there, or I could meet you at Tim Hortons down the road, and we just travel.
And Tim Hortons, I love the Tim Hortons because I've eaten at Tim Hortons, and it's like everybody in Canada loves Tim Hortons, right? What's the equivalent? I wonder what the equivalent is in US.
Yeah, well, it's like Dunkin' Donuts or Starbucks. I don't know what you guys. I know it's either or, right? Yeah.
That's right, because Tim Hortons is, I mean, it's food, but it's kind of fast food, but it's coffee, right? Or what is it? I'm trying to figure out what it is about it it's so popular.
I think it's just the coffee, right? Like it's been a staple here
Yeah, it's the coffee.
long before I was born, I
Right.
think, right?
So it is the coffee, yeah.
I think it's just, the friendliness. You go and sit down and talk to people, and there's one in every community, I think.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah.
There is one out there. Nice. Okay, well, let's touch on the salmon, the Atlantic salmon, real quick, because you are in one of those places, like we said. Topher mentioned he was going around the country, the North America, talking about places that you would want to go, and I think the Margaree is a famous river, right? I mean, it's from what I've heard.
Oh, listen,
Yeah.
like Lee Wolf fished it. John Casaboom fished it. I think I said his name right. I hope I did. Like, so we had some famous people fish this river, right? Like it's a well-known river, but like I said, you have Brook River that holds massive salmon in it. North River, I don't really touch too much on that, but for the most part, when you think Atlantic salmon, Cape Breton, the Margaree.
Yes, the Margaree.
Yeah.
So if we were doing the Margaree, what does that program look like? Where would we be fishing roughly?
It depends on the time of the year, right? Like on one side of it, we could be fishing seal pool or tidal pool or a dollar pool, or they're going to the other side of it, Tompkins pool. Or
today's episode is sponsored by Stonefly nets, putting quality before quantity with their handcrafted custom wood landing nets. Charleston, South Carolina native Ethan Eigelhart was bitten by the fly fishing bug in 2014, and shortly thereafter started Stonefly nets. He now lives in the trout-rich waters of the Ozarks and handcrafts some of the sweetest wooden landing nets you'll see. I've been using these Stonefly nets for quite a while now, and I'm excited to dig into another year. Ethan builds these nets custom, and you can select from 4 sizes and many different wood options. For Ethan, fly fishing is a memory created from a morning on a beautiful stretch of water, casting a 3-weight bamboo rod that his grandmother gave to his father, and then he passed to Ethan. Ethan is helping us create the same types of lasting memories every time we're on the water with these classic custom wood nets. You can head over right now to wetflyswing.com/stonefly to check out your custom net right now. That's wetflyswing.com/stonefly, STONEFLY. You support this podcast by clicking through that link to Stonefly. Okay, back to the show. If you could do I guess the peak is, right, same thing, May, June is really good. If you get into July, are people still fishing for Atlantic salmon through the summer?
They are, but like I said, it's that gray area, Dave, where the temperatures, I wouldn't say don't come fish it, but you're taking a chance, kind of, right? But then the fall time, you bring some marabou patterns with you, and oh boy.
Oh, really? So the fall is good too.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, fall's an amazing time to go fishing there.
Gotcha. Okay. And if we were heading in there, what would you recommend to get some information to, you could do the DIY. Probably what we'd be doing is getting, talking to you or another guide for at least a day. Who would, where would you recommend we go to figure out, like, okay, to plan the trip?
There's locals down there. Like there's the Tyne Scotsman. He'd be excellent to talk to. He would tell you where to.
Is this a fly shop?
Yeah, he's a small little fly shop. His name is Alec. I'm not going to say his last name.
Yeah, Tyne Scotsman. We could figure it out. Yeah,
Tyne Scotsman. Yeah, he's dedicated to salmon. He gives updates every day on his webpage about the river.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, oh yeah. Like you can check this guy out every day. He's updating the.
I see it.
The heat. So he's on Facebook. So that's where you would get the information. I know he has a website as well, but.
He does. The tying.scotsman.ca is his website. He's got, it looks like I'm looking now. He's, Margaree Forks. This looks like where he is, Margaree Forks.
He would be the guy to talk to, him and Patty Poirier. Patty's his guide for him. So if you were like trying to set up a do-it-yourself trip, like they would tell you, like, go to this spot, stay there. But I mean, if you're coming up or something, I don't mind popping down and come here, go there kind of thing neither, right?
Right. Okay. So that would be the start. We check in with him, or obviously check in with you if we want to figure out more information too about, kind of where to go, what to use. Yeah,
absolutely. Like, like I said, fall time, summertime, you're throwing bombers, like the deer hair, the calf tail over the eye. Fall time, you're throwing wets. You're throwing your marabous and your shrimp patterns. And tool patterns are starting to become a popular thing here as well.
Well, I'll put some links in the show notes to other episodes where we've talked a little more about Atlantic salmon. I think that Topher one, like we mentioned, he's definitely knowledgeable. And I want to get in. It's one of my goals. I want to get at least have a chance.
Oh yeah, like I said, when we're done here, you can just stay on, and we'll see if we can make that happen for you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we'll put something together. We're doing. I mean, our travel program we've been doing has been fun, but the challenge is that, there's so many places that we want to get to,
Absolutely.
and you have limited, but you definitely, like you said, I mean, I could see us coming in there and checking out the national park, right? Heading
yeah,
to
like,
Margaree Forks and hanging out.
and the drive that park, I think that whole national park, I think it's like a 6-hour drive. And like every turn, every road, every wind, it's something new to see.
What makes that a national park? What is in there that makes it that?
That I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's just, like the wildlife in the forest and
Right. Because you're at the tip. I mean, you're at the northern tip of Cape Breton. I mean, literally mostly surrounded by half of it's by the ocean.
yeah, we're well, I look at my window right now, I can see the ocean, well, the harbor in the back of my window.
Yeah, that's awesome.
There's water everywhere.
Good. Okay, so we'll have this. That'll be on our itinerary is to check out the national park. But really, yeah, the Margaree will be the focus. But there's some other rivers if you want to check this out and fish for brook trout or the other species you mentioned. And it sounds like the lakes is something you're really focused on. Is the lake fishing something that's really a hot topic for you?
That's where I started, right? Like I studied that lake when I first got in the best I can, like, and then the past 3 years I kind of not switching over, but I'm really getting into the river fishing now. So, and now it's coming to the point, well, maybe, it was always the big lake that I would pick, but now it's like, you know what? I don't know. Like I'm really liking the river now, right? Like,
Right.
I'd sooner catch 100 small little brook trout than one massive brook trout. I know people might say BS, but no, it's true. I've caught big brook trout before, but at the time I never had a GoPro or anything to take a picture, so now I do.
Yeah. I think I think it'll be like everybody, it's that process of, kind of self-discovery, or whatever, right? You're evolving in your fit. I know myself, I mean, I've been a big steelhead angler. I still love it. And going steelhead fishing when I can, but now it's different for me. I'm thinking more like, okay, where are these destinations we could go to?
Yeah, and you know what? I'm getting there. Like, we were talking earlier, like, is this on your bucket list? Is that on your bucket list? I'm starting to get the itch now to, to move, especially with the show now. Like, it's another great opportunity to promote a lodge if you need a lodge promoted or something like that. Yeah, so I'm starting to get the itch now to travel.
Yeah, that's right. And you passed 100 episodes, right?
On the podcast?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm at 109 as of tomorrow. I'll be 109.
Yeah, how's that feel? I mean, I always say 50 episodes is where you're definitely in it for the long haul, but 100 now you're like 2 years. Like how does that feel being at 100?
Well, it feels great, and it's funny you say that about the 50 either, no, because there was there for maybe a month where I questioned myself, should I keep doing this? Should I not keep doing it? And then bang, I just came back into it for full force. I got the sound thing, the Rode sound thing here. I got the Rode mic. I bought a green screen. I got a camera now, studio lights. So I'm in it quite a bit now for, you know what I mean? But you don't need all that stuff. You know what I mean? But if you want to sound your absolute best, because, your first 5 seconds, 10 seconds of a podcast, maybe even a minute, that's your crucial time that you're going to have somebody listen to you. And, if you're staticky or the sound levels, one another, they're gone. You lose them.
That's right.
So, and, I didn't really pay attention. I know when we were talking, you and I,
Yeah.
you had this thing going, but things in life come up, unfortunately, where I didn't want to commit and take time away from somebody else, and so, I highly recommend. I don't know if you still do that or not.
Now what is this?
Remember we were talking there when I was first getting into starting a podcast, you had this, I don't know if it was like a program or something to start your own podcast in so many days, a challenge or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, I don't know if you still do that, but that's definitely a cool thing. And if you do, I'd highly recommend someone who is starting a podcast to look you up if you are still doing something like that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, we were going through. Well, I had the other podcast, which I still have. It's just, I've been really focusing on the wet fly swing, obviously. And so I haven't had as much time. But yeah, we've got a number of episodes over there on the business podcast. And that's where we were focusing on, helping. And I still am. I mean, definitely anybody that wants help getting into podcasting, I'm definitely here to help.
Like I said, there's a reason why you're one of the top dogs with podcasting and fly fishing, right? So you obviously know your stuff.
Right. Well, I think it's, like a lot of these things, you do it enough with consistency, and you know what I mean? Like, that's the cool thing. It's like the 10,000 hours thing where you hear, like people say, if you do anything you do and you put 10,000 hours into it, you're going to be an expert.
Well, you definitely earned your stripes, right? No one will ever take that away from
Yeah.
you. You earned your stripes for sure.
So the CB Fly Fishing, the podcast that we did, what was that? Do you remember which one that was?
I don't offhand, but I could send you a link.
Yeah. I'm just thinking, if somebody wanted to look at that right now, where would they? So what's your way? Like, if somebody wants to track down your list of podcasts, let's just make it easy for them. Where is there a place? Like, if they go to cbflyfishing.ca, or could they do that?
You can there. There should be a little microphone at the bottom of the page that you click. I mean, I have to fix it, obviously.
Yeah, cbflyfishing.ca. Now I'm looking through. You got your YouTube. You got your.
You should go right into the bottom of the page. You should see, like, on the very bottom, like a little microphone.
Oh, okay. Oh yeah, microphone. There it is. Let's see.
I mean, it's kind of out of the way. I know.
Yeah, no, I see it now. It's going over to Podbean.
Podbean, yeah.
So now, why does it go to Podbean there? What is Podbean?
They are my host, I guess.
Yeah, they're your host. Okay, so you got Brian Chan. Now I'm going through some of you. Got Brian Wise, Jim Missoura. I'm trying to think, what was our Kelly Gallup? Yeah, you've done a ton of episodes since. Yeah, look at this. So what do you think out of all these episodes? Which one is there one that stands out more than others?
No, and I don't want to sound like, I love them all because I learned something new from everyone, whether it be from fishing, fly tying, or podcast editing. I learned something new from them. I love them all. Every one of them helped me along the way, right?
Right. Yeah, and I found the one that we did. I guess there isn't an episode number that I'm looking at here, but it was October 26, 2022. So wow, that was last year. It seems like I get all these things. It seems like it was a long time ago.
It just seems like a couple months ago. I said like January, February, maybe March.
I know it does. Isn't that weird? Yeah, it seems like that's because you're doing a lot of content. We both are. So, okay. Yeah, we'll get a link to that one just so people can check, because I can't remember what we talked about.
We talked about some interesting things about, your podcast and your style of fishing, how you get into it. And, it's easy to get into it. It depends on how far you want to go with it, right? Like you can do a podcast from your phone if you wanted to.
Right.
But like, again, it goes back to that first 10 seconds to a minute. If I had my day over now, looking back, I would start it over and use the equipment that I have now, because I know it's something that I want to, you know what I mean? But it is what it is. And like I said, I learned something from every one of them.
Yeah. How do you do that? Let's talk about your tech real quick. So you have the Rodecaster Pro, which is a nice device because it does a lot, right? You can plug in a phone call, you can plug it into your computer. How do you use that? And you do video too, right? So talk about your tech a little bit.
Yeah. So when I first got the Rodecaster, I was just using a Zoom and I wasn't using any video, right? It was just audio. And then I just started using my phone because I knew I could find out I could connect my phone to it and just save it on an SD card. So now I'm just getting that.
So when you were like talking through your phone to whoever your guest was and just recording it.
Yeah, talking to through my mic into my phone or into my Rodecaster, but they were hearing me through the phone and they were coming from the phone into the caster. I might have said that backwards, but
yeah, we got you though. Yeah.
So, I started doing that, and then I switched over to different, like there's programs out there that I think I'm using Emix now. I might be saying that wrong, but that does the video podcast, and you get your separate tracks as well. So now, I got a green screen behind me. I can put whatever I want in the back of me. I can bring pictures up when I'm talking to you, say about a fish or a fly or something, and you can elaborate on that picture, and so people know what we're talking about. But then I'll take the audio, and I use Adobe Audition. And that's where I really dive in now to the soundtrack, like the voice tracks. Like, so say if you're echoing or something. And then there's another thing, like it's industry standard for like Spotify, iTunes. So I had this program where it matches the sound to this -16. So it'll take my voice and your voice and will be the same level the whole way through. Yeah.
That's what you need. Yeah, you need to get the levels right for sure. How do you find the YouTube, like on yours? I see on Podbean, you press play and listen to it, but how do you find the actual video of the podcast?
I just started doing it.
Oh, okay, so it's new.
Yeah, this is brand new. I did one with Johnny McClellan. He's called the Greasy Scotian. He's on the YouTube channel as well.
Gotcha.
I really have to, because when you do these, you can take them from this program and put them in Adobe Premiere and edit them that way. So like if you're darker, like, lighting, you can brighten it up and the color match the colors.
So you do it on your CB Fly Fishing YouTube channel. Is that where did you put that one with Johnny?
Yeah, that's on there now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I'm just trying to get a place where we can go. And the Seaside Communications is definitely popping up for, it looks like they're doing a good job. And Working Class Fly Fishing. Is that another podcast? Oh, I guess you were on the Working Class Fly Fishing.
I was on the Working Class.
Yeah. How'd that one go?
That was good. I think you had John on your podcast not too long ago.
I think we did. Yeah. How did that, what did you guys talk about on that one?
Just how I got started basically, and this fishing stuff, right? It was it's kind of like a cool breeze conversation like you and I are having right now, right?
Yeah. So, and you got a video, so you guys were chatting there, and that's what you're going to do. So you could take the video and then you throw it up on YouTube and then also on all the podcasting apps.
Yeah, and if you have sponsors or something, so like say you and I are talking, I want to cut the clips out to separate them. I can drop an ad in for the sponsors where they're showing videos of their products or whatever, right?
Exactly.
I mean, a little bit more work to it than just doing the voice editing, right? Because now you got videos, but I love doing it all, man. Like I'm really geeking out into it.
That's cool. No, it's good to hear. I'm glad you're sticking with it, because I think that's where the success comes. It seems like there's challenges, but the fun thing is that you're always getting better, and the longer you stay in it, you know what I mean. Like that's the more success you're going to have. That's just kind of how it works.
And you know what? I got to say, the guy that films my shows, like I'm sure there's times he wants to, because I'm calling him, hey, do you know how to do it? And of course he knows how to do it, right?
Oh, right.
What he does for a living, right? So again, I gotta give a shout out to him from Seaside Communications, even for teaching me things. And now I look back at some of my videos, Dave, that I did. It's like, oh my God, I can't believe I posted that.
Yeah,
right?
I know.
But in the same breath too, it's showing people, don't be ashamed of the work that you've done. Never be ashamed of it, right?
Right.
Because at least you're trying it.
That's it. Yeah, that's you got to give it a shot, and you're, like we say, you're always learning, so it's great. Nice. Well, I think this has been, a lot of fun. I think what we will do, especially if we could talk more about, heading out that way, maybe we'll dig back into this if we get a chance. But I mean, you have, like you say, you got the YouTube channel, you got the TV show, the podcast is going. I mean, I think probably, where would you send people if they just want to follow you and make sure to stay in touch? Where's the place you go?
I have a Facebook, CB Fly Fishing, but I'm focusing more on Instagram. It seems to be the better way to go now. So just CB Fly Fishing on Instagram.
Yeah, on Instagram. Okay. And so you're liking the Instagram. And
I don't know what it is with Facebook and the groups lately. It's just, I thought about actually shutting it down on Facebook because I'm getting it's more easier to follow numbers and everything on Instagram, I find, than it is on Facebook. They want you paying for more ads, I think, and stuff.
Yeah, that's right. Well, Instagram, I think that's the thing. We'll probably get there too. I mean, everything. That's why the email list is so important, And
that's why I started one, because it was you who said it. Like, an email list is so important. And, the more I dove into it, it's like you own that email list. So, like, if Instagram shut down tomorrow, your followers are gone.
Exactly.
That's it. You lose everything.
Yep, that's why it's one important thing. Well, good. I guess we'll just leave it at that and throw people. I mean, let's just talk about heading out. As you head out of here, we're looking at. We got this trip we could potentially plan. People listening now, if they wanted to get out there, they can check in with you. They got a good resource here. How's it look for you now that we're kind of midsummer, looking out, into the rest of this year? What's your plans? Anything new coming you want to give a shout out to?
I want to thank again the guys from Rogers, Jason and Brandon. I want to give a shout out to Mark. I met him guiding a few years ago, and we became best friends like brothers. And, and everyone that supported me, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. It means a lot to me. With your feedback, whether it's good or negative, I appreciate it all. It's making me better, and thank you for giving me this opportunity. Like I'm ecstatic right now, right?
Yeah. It's awesome. No, I think that, I think, like we said a while back, I can't remember when we first talked, but, it's fun to see, the journey, and you're working there, and you're keeping on it, and I think, I'm not sure how many podcasts, in our space have got up to 100, but my guess is that you're in the top 10%, or something like that.
Oh, awesome.
I mean, I'm just
Awesome.
thinking, because I think most podcasts don't make it. I mean, you think about the podcasts, you probably don't even hear about them, but people that do 5 or 10 episodes, and they're like, no, this is, doesn't, too much work.
Yeah, and it is. It's basically almost like another full-time job. Like, there's days I work a 12-hour shift. I got to come home and try to edit a podcast.
Right. But you love it. You love the podcasting. Do you kind of love every time getting on the mic?
Every time. Like, you know what? Like I said, I don't know everything. And sometimes I could be talking to someone and they could ask me a question. I'm like, I don't know that. Like, and that's cool too. I'm admitting that I'm not even pretending that I just don't know the answer to that. But, it's fun. I love fishing. Like, and I love seeing new people get in the sport. I get more excited now, though, over people catching a fish than me catching a fish.
Right.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, you got like we said, cbflyfishing.com, and actually CB Fly Fishing on Podbean too is the easy way to find some of your episodes. And what do you got coming?
I was just going to say the website, you said .com, it's .ca.
Oh, yeah, .ca.
So, you mean like for the rest of the summer?
Yeah, for your podcast. So it looks like Amanda Hoffner was the last week. Give us a little rundown on your next,
Yeah.
This will probably be going out in August, so I guess, do you know that far ahead?
I have Jeff Rowley coming up next. I have Skip Morse coming out next weekend. Skip was a returning guest.
Oh, he was?
Yeah. Then Tom Rosenbauer, I'm interviewing him again this week. Yeah, we're going to do the video with him, right?
And so why the two? Why two? I mean, obviously Tom's great, but get him on twice. Why the twice?
So here's the thing too, like when I first get into it, I didn't really know neither the questions to ask, it's just kind of getting to know the person. But now it's like, okay, I want to ask you set questions. Everyone knows who Tom is, right?
Yeah.
But like, let's talk tippet rings now. Let's talk leaders. We got to know where he's from, how he got involved into it. Now let's pick his brain. Same with Skip. Like when I first got Skip on, we talked about Skip, and in this one we dive more into how to become an author in fly fishing. Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Cool. So yeah, you got some big episodes coming up.
Yeah, hopefully, and hopefully everything runs smooth. I get them out, and we'll get rolling into the fall. And like I said, it becomes a lot too, right? Like guiding, working, time flies for people, podcasts, TV show. But I'm not complaining by any means.
Yeah. Well, do you have a goal to eventually, is one of your goals to kind of be all in on this and maybe quit the day job, or is that something?
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's my goal. That's my long-term goal. Like if it was up to me, I'd put a podcast on Sirius Radio every day talking fly fishing.
Yeah. So you're good. So the day job of the health care or whatever is that what it is? What is the exact?
I basically go into people's homes if they need care and give them the care, right?
Yeah. If you had to choose, you would definitely stick in full fly fishing podcasting that world.
Oh yeah, definitely. Like that's, it's everyone has their passion too. Like, don't get me wrong, I love the healthcare stuff. I started out as a sitter at the hospital, just with people. I envy anybody in the healthcare because they go through a lot.
That's not easy.
No, it's not. Like there's people dying around you all the time, and you don't realize until you're actually in there and you see it for yourself, right?
I know. That seems like one of the like the hardest things. You got to be, right. You're around people that are dying.
Yeah, and then the fact too that my back is she almost done. So.
Oh, what is that? Your back?
Yeah, so it's getting it's getting worse. So it's time.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, so you're back from lifting.
Oh yeah, so I did that when I was 27, like I said, and now I'm like 36.
So the back isn't getting any better. So you might have like a surgery up in line.
Well, they're looking at it now, right? So yeah, hopefully, fingers crossed.
Is it one of those things? It's funny the age thing. I mean, it's not funny, but we're all.
No, I know what you're saying because everyone looks at me, but you're walking around like you're 80 years old. Well, I feel like I'm 80 years old,
Right. Thing that it's always the back. Is it always there? Or is it more like when you wake up in the morning?
It's always there. Like there hasn't been a night where I got a good solid sleep yet.
Right. So it's always, so you got to take, so and probably a lot of people I'd imagine are probably taking medication, right?
Yeah, I'm not taking anything. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger, right? But I'm to the point now, okay, we need to do something here,
I know it's interesting. I Well, we just got off a week trip. We were in a kind of fishing, floating the river. And yeah, I've been noticing out camping, I used to be able to just sleep on the dirt and it'd be like, whatever, it doesn't matter. But now, now I'm just finding even the thick, whatever thing, I'm just finding, my back, it's not loving that anymore. Right.
Yeah, it goes with age, right?
Yeah, it goes with age. But it also, it's, health.
Like this morning, I was brushing my teeth and I just happened to look up because I'm partially bald as it is anyway, but I started to see gray hair now, and it's like, oh boy.
Yeah, you got it covered. This
Yeah.
is it. Doesn't take long, man.
When we're done here, I'm going up to the store and getting just for men.
Right. No. You got the bald. That's the great thing about what you have going is you just go bald and then nobody knows, and it's great.
Yeah, I always had a shaved head anyway, even in high school. So it hits you, right? Oh my God, I got gray hair.
That's great though. But you're loving it because you got that good shaved head, so it's perfect.
Oh yeah.
Right on. So I guess we'll keep in touch. Obviously, moving ahead, and this will be fun to see where you go, where you take this thing. Do you have a looking out? Are you thinking? I mean, I guess every year you're going to get another 50 episodes in. Do you have a goal on episodes you really want to get to, or are you just kind of plugging away?
I want to keep going as far as I can. You know what I mean?
Yeah. There's not an end in sight. You don't say like, "Hey, I'm going to hit." Yeah.
If something drastically happens to me, then I'm done. You know what I mean? But no, health-wise or something. But no, this is going right to the end with me. And as the time changes, I'll change too with it. With now I'm not switching, but I'm doing video podcasts now, so you can actually see what's going on.
I love that you're going for it. So, we'll send people out to cbflyfishing.ca, right? That's the correct?
That's it. Yep.
That's it. Awesome. We'll send them there, and we'll keep in touch with you, Justin. And thanks, man, for coming on here and sharing a little bit on your home area and your journey. And it'll be fun to keep in touch with you moving ahead.
And thank you for giving me the opportunity. I really appreciate it.
There it is, wetflyswing.com/490. You can go right now over to wetflyswing.com/490 and check out some of the stuff we talked about. Maybe we'll get a sneak random pic of Justin in his weightlifting days. Maybe we got something there we could shed light on. But we'll have some links to some of these people we talked about today if you're planning a trip. Reminder before we get out of here, Instagram @wetflyswing. If you follow us there, you can get a chance to ask a question for an upcoming guest. And we're going to be giving away some swag as we go along the way. I want to do a quick listener shout out before we get out of here. Douglas Peacock. Doug said, "Hello, Dave. I live in Tacoma, Washington, and mainly fish with a two-handed rod for steelhead and salmon. I get up to the Olympic Peninsula when I can, but I would say my home stretch would be the Cabot River. I also fish saltwater in Hawaii for bonefish and Florida for reds. The Wet Fly Swing is a great podcast. I thoroughly enjoy it. Thanks for putting it together and getting it out. Regards, Doug." Thanks, Doug, for checking in and for giving us a little heads up on what you have going. We're going to be doing some stuff in the OP for sure this year. There's a good chance that we're going to put together a steelhead trip down the line. I'm not sure how soon that's going to come, but we've been talking about that at a later point. And if you are listening right now, you want to get a shout out, you can do that anytime. Send me an email, dave@wetflyswing.com, or check in on Instagram and we'll give you a shout out there as well. Let's take a quick look where we're heading next. Take a quick peek here and then we'll get out of here. I want to give one shout out. Looks like Monday we are going to be heading to the OP. I mentioned it. We talked about it there. Perfect segue. We are going to be hitting the Olympic Peninsula for a podcast Monday. This is with Waters West. We're going to dig into an all-around, just a summary of what you can fish there throughout the year. So we're going to dig into that and some tips. And we're going to hear about that viral video, viral reel that went out on Waters West. So we're going to find out about that and some good stuff from Ed and Kyle Monday. All right, I'm going to let you get out of here. That's all I have right now. I'm glad you stuck around to the very end. I just want to say thanks for doing that. And I hope you are having a great afternoon, great evening, or great morning, wherever in the world you are, even if that's on the other side of the planet from where we are. Appreciate you for stopping in today, and I hope to talk to you soon.
Thanks for listening to the Wet Fly Swing Fly Fishing Show. For notes and links from this episode, visit wetflyswing.com. And if you found this episode helpful, please subscribe and leave a review on iTunes.